So the first sample question is taken from Geometry 2, 3D Coordinate. It's a lecture that's given during week number 8. Let's dive right in. A box has dimensions of L, W, and H. You can pause the video and try to solve it for yourself. L stands for length, width, and height. And we have these three data. They're asking us what is the volume of the box. So first of all, we will see in every lecture, we will see these. We will see the takeaways. So if you see these, if you see the words volume, if you see the words box, so on and so forth, when you see these words, you know that you need to do specific things. First of all, you know that the question type is geometry, 3D, volumes, and areas. And you also know what to do. This is modus operandi. Is the way that you're supposed to go about solving the question. And what we learned is that the volume of a box, a cylinder, a cube, a prism is basically the base area times the height. So if I do know this effectively, if I do know these takeaways, what is going to happen is that I will immediately say, okay, I need the area of the base. The area of the base is the length times the width and the height. Good, so I need L, W, and H. But how do I get from these to L, W, and H? Actually, this question, even though it might appear as if it is a geometry question, it's really an algebra question in disguise. We also learned during one of our algebra lessons that if we have two or more equations with two or more unknowns, so this is exactly what I would like you guys to identify. So here we have three equations with three variables, three unknowns. So this is an algebra equation questions, and two ways of going about solving this question. One is to isolate one of the variables from the easier equation. But if you take a look here, none of these three equations appears to be easier than the other ones. So I need to know something that most people taking these examinations don't know. And what it is that if the equations include plus or minus, then I need to add or subtract the equations. And more to the point here, if the equations include multiplication or division, then I need to multiply or divide the equations. So take a look here. You have three equations and they include multiplication. So it makes more sense to either multiply or divide the equations themselves. Now, how do you go about doing that? First of all, let's indicate that we're going to multiply all three of those, both sides. Of course, so 20 by 5 by 1. So on the right-hand sides, we have 100. We have 100. What happens on the left-hand sides? So W times W is W squared. L times L is L squared. And H times H is H squared. In other words, what I have here is WLH. All of them are squared, and we're going to talk about that during the powers and roots lesson. WLH equals squared equals 100, and if I square root the entire thing, then WL and H equals plus or minus 10. But since this is geometry, we're only going to talk about the positive. And the correct answer choice is A. So this is a tricky question. Of course, you can go about trying to solve it using the orthodox method of trying to isolate, W from here and W from here, and then maybe compare to 20 over L equals 1 over H, and then plug both of these values into the third equation. But that is very, very time consuming. Remember that on this examination, you don't have time to go about solving the question using the long route. Now, since this appeared to take a long time because we talked about it, I would like to show you what happens in real time. So again, they're asking us for the volume. The volume is WLH, and I know, let's say I know my stuff really well, right? I know that if I have three equations with three variables, then I need to either multiply, divide, add, or subtract the equations. Since I have multiplication here, I multiply or divide the equations, and that's it. W squared times H squared times L squared, and that equals 100, and that means that WHL equals a 10. Literally, if you take a look at the amount of writing here, this question, which is not an easy question, should take you approximately 20 or 30 seconds if you know your takeaways well.